they actually, how's it possible? I'm not really sure if, I just, yeah. I was fixing my scoreboard and setting up the map and everything, getting the stream ready. Missed the whole start of the fight, but somehow, beyond Kuzait's, VK4 has done pretty well here. They have won the initial fight. I haven't really yet put together what it was to allow that to happen, but it's going pretty well for them so far. Looks like they might even just about win this on their first lives, which is going to be a really good showing for them and a strong start to the round. Okay, they're going to need their second lives to win this, but yeah. Okay, here they go. So let's see if they go Spear Infantry. It's the more conventional approach here, and it does make sense to do when you are up on lives here. Let's see. About to start fighting here. Let's see if any cap gets knocked out. Okay, one gets knocked out immediately on Vlandia. And AKO's down. It's his last life. He's out. Another HCA player goes down. This is VK4 Outreamer, if I'm not mistaken, the team name. So yeah, it was a strong start for Kuzaits. They really don't deserve to win this based on the faction disadvantage, but well done to them. It's going to be a harder next round, I would say, normally. They do have pretty good eco. I think that's enough to go start the Kuzait snowball here. Not certain about that, but I'm pretty sure that use it. If only most of the people can go 3 lives, we'll see what happens. Looks like VK4 capped a flag for Vlandia to take over right away. Maybe not, maybe not. They might get pushed off. Alright. Well, was that VN Cav, or who was that? Infantry, I think, actually. Might be a little bit blind on my part here. Just a bit distracted trying to check on some settings. One VK just had to fly off the edge of Spade there. You know what's really funny is I have fought Spade on this map a handful of times. I actually fought him one time where he fell off the edge there twice. So we might need to install a guardrail on this map for him. Alright, so... No offense to Spade. He's a good guy. Alright, so... Not nearly as strong of a showing for BK4 this time. I did expect it to be a harder fight, given that they're going to have 2 full lives on Vlandia / HCA's team. So, Antic is definitely a bit of a menace. He could definitely play Cav as well. It's curious that he's not. So, Buddha is on Cav. Just they're going 5-1 versus. Is it still 4-2 on Vlandia? Looks like they might have. It's still 4-2 on Vlandia. Sorry, still 4-2 on Vlandia Knights / Kuzaits. Very confusing. VK Vlandia Knights are currently the Kuzait faction, so that's confusing. It always is confusing, but whatever. Stab there. He was trying not to team kill, I think. Who's this, Buddha? Nicely done. Good teamwork between Spade and Warband Man there. So I think... They definitely have enough for Rabble lives on VK4, and I guess they're using them? Or did... who's this? Who's this, Logan? He's already used his. Is he fighting with the... Or... He shouldn't be... What is he doing? He's not over here. I'd be very upset if I was there. I don't know. Their caller. He's kind of lucky for that heavy Kuzait Lancer to get past Antic on Spear. I would not be surprised at all to see Antic mount up later in the matchup, especially when it's in Khuzaits, because they're just, you know, the infantry's just awful. So, I don't think VK4 wins this round. Definitely the worst faction of the two. Let's bump that, so it's one. Have the map name correct? I do. It's Trading Post. Alright, well, we're still in the first half of the first map here, early into the match. I don't know if I would have blocked there, a spade. He got kind of lucky that this guy didn't go for his horse. He's playing a little bit too defensive, I feel like. A lot of damage to his horse there. Man's coming to help Spade. Misses his stab. It's kind of unlucky there. He really deserved to get a hit in, I feel like, but Antic mounting up on infantry, cavalry, whatever. Could do some damage. So, yeah, we did see... Still in their first lives on VK, looks like mostly, or sorry, not VK, the Vlandian faction, which is HCA. Got my wires crossed twice this stream. This one Vlandian guy's pretty eager to reset. That was Sabrina Carpenter. So it looks like VK4 was able to, on Khuzaits, was able to reset HCA's first lives without taking a lot of damage, and a couple, 4 of them still have their third lives. I guess I didn't use them last round. To be honest, I was not paying close enough attention to notice, but that is the case. I can tell those outside, but let's see who wins this. Yeah. HCA probably has a slight cab advantage, to be honest. I haven't taken a close look at the scoreboard. We'll do so after this fight is over, so we'll see who's doing better on the board here, cavalry-wise. Not the best fight for VK4, but again, Khuzaits is definitely the less favorable faction on just in general. Are they going to use their... They're going to... See how it pans out. Hard to say if it was a good call or not. Looks like I was correct. Buddha's doing an insane amount of damage to the scoreboard. 1800 score is actually more... If I'm not mistaken there, Buddha, as one cavalry, has more score between Warband Man and Spade combined. And he's also alive, where one of the cows out on VK4, unfortunately. That is a thing that's very easy to have happen, I found, when you have these Khuzaits, where you're going to use your third lives, your cavalry gets overeager, dies when you're in your second lives, they forget, think you're on your last life, and you're not, and then you have no cav in your last fight. It's actually remarkably close given how badly this was looking for Kuzates for a second ago. But there's no way he wins this. Yeah, I don't think so. It's a very good try, though. Good, and increment the scoreboard there in favor of HCA again. It's now 2-1 in their favor. And there we go. Oh, wrong team, sorry. Here of this first half of this map. If HCA wins this round, they solidify this set as 3-1 in their favor. Kuzates wins / VK4 wins, again on Kuzates. Then it could turn into, 2-2, and then they might even win the set. Doesn't seem likely, but it's possible. It's kind of unfortunate that I just was not paying attention in that first round. I'm surprised that it seemed like kind of a stomp in favor of VK4 that first round. But, obviously peasant lives from HCA on Vlandia for the first round. So, one of their tougher rounds to win. It's a really nasty hit in on Warband Man by probably Buddha again. So that fight actually won Kuzates, not by a huge margin, but by some margin. Having a 1v1 here, which is really not desirable. I think this is very stupid. I just didn't know why is Spade trying to fight Eddie solo? Why is Logan not helping him? Of letting him stay alive. Now that's actually kind of a good decision, because the longer they delay, the longer he's out of the fight. When they, as soon as they reset him, then HCA can come back in with their full set of... They took to do that. And it probably was to, because they have the flag and whatever. They're not really going to morale them anyways, so let's see what happens here. They do have one peasant life in Vlandia. I'm not really sure why that is. He must have died in one of the rounds that they won, so they didn't have enough eco left over, I assume, is what's happening to that, I suppose. That it could have been meant that... Let's see how this goes. Alright, well, at least AK didn't drop his bow, but I don't know if he really himself there. Solid archer, but he's going archer again. So, it's like not actually a couple people have enough eco for a third life. It's kind of interesting. I doubt that they're going to use it unless it really comes down to the wire, but I mean, this could be the last round. They didn't do a ton of damage on their first lives. They won the first fight, but they didn't do a ton of damage with their first lives against the reinforcing HCA / Vlandian troops, so yeah, it looks like Antic is guarding that ramp from any cavalry approaching. And no reinforcements left on for HCA. Ooh, that's really silly to just charge right into Antic. I think that is Warband Man. Hopefully he stays alive. Do some sort of value for his team. I meant to say to do something valuable. Can't form a grammatical sentence while I'm streaming, apparently. Alright, so very going on in also action is the building in the way. Wow, this is really close, but I think VK4 takes this. It evens it up to a 2-2. Wins here. Not no chance, but yeah, that was a good counter kick by AK. Nice job. Nice way to end that round. That brings it up to a 2-2. I have an archer again, and a couple of throwing... Actually, 2 throwing spears, if I'm not mistaken, on Khuzaits. It's got V and... Those are very, pretty experienced players. I would trust them to a reasonably high degree to do something useful with those throwing spears, not just donate them to the enemy team. AK's getting pushed right away by who's this? Sabrina Carpenter. Gets a nice kick in, but wasn't able to shoot for very long, fortunately. And yeah, this is looking... I don't know. Just the positioning here does not seem advantageous to Khuzaits necessarily, but they still have a chance here. The Cav goes down. Buddha's doing a lot of damage here. Still pretty even right now. Took it from even to not nearly... Yeah, well, that's crazy. Yeah. Buddha kind of tilted that fight, it seems like. This is lasting a lot longer than some of the other infantry fights have gone. It was a nice, very solid stab by Buddha again. I don't want to say that was a bit of a cav diff in that fight. I don't know. My advice for the VK4 cavalry team would probably, or cavalry players, probably be just stay alive longer, do some more damage, be a little bit less aggressive or risky. Surprisingly, no, they're not down flare. They're just got reset. Our Buddha goes down, which is huge for VK4. I probably... Jesus Christ, 2,500 score is kind of insane. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Let's see what Buddha here. There's a reason they brought 2 Chukkas, is because Buddha's carrying their team. That was really close, it looks like from my perspective, but hard to say how close it really was. But, VK4 with an archer, and they have a Chukka, throwing spear. It was really important that Warman Man got that kill in. Looks like Antic, I assume that is pushing the archer, so that's going to be really tough for him to beat Antic. He's no easy duelist to defeat there, and it's not looking too favorable for VK4, but they did pretty well to win 2 rounds on Khuzaits. It's by far the worst faction of the 2. I wasn't really expecting them to win 2 rounds, to be honest with you. I would not be surprised if HCA does worse here when it's their turn. Two archers, I mean, I guess it makes sense because Rebels... Not really, I don't know. Are they actually... That's crazy. I can't believe that they're going to win this 3-2 here. Antic's done very well on infantry this as well. Alright, 3-2 in favor of VK4 for that last round. It's kind of a funny way to end it. The Rock. Alright, they are switching factions, keeping the same map on other sides of Trading Post. All right, moving into the second half of the first map here. So kind of an upset. I really did not expect to see a 3-2 in favor of Kuzets from VK4. I would be surprised if HCA does as well, but they could surprise me. I've been surprised before, like today, right now, just now. So, curious to see. I do like this map, honestly. Nice little details here at the baskets, and I don't know. Never noticed the random set of pillows on the roof. Notice, like, all the stuff I did here. It's a lot of stuff. Yeah, yeah, these are all real buildings. It's not any flat. So, that's cool. Oh, there's still no warm up round. You know, these details here, obviously, but not. It's like VK4 is currently waiting for their last player to rejoin. They apparently had to take a break, so we are at 5 players on VK4, 6 on HCA. It's a lot of different assets here. So this is a house, and then there's another house, and then there's a little window thing in a doorway of that house. And more houses stacked here. Scribbles is saying my microphone's cutting out, and you're probably right. What's happening is if I ever hit shift, it'll cut out. I'm gonna switch to voice activity. Give me a second here. All right, so I have an idea. Oh, that did in fact fix it. It's crazy. So my problem was that whenever I hit shift on my caps lock key, well, is it still happening? If I do, let's try control. Okay, I need a. That's funny. All right, so I can hit any other key on my keyboard, including caps lock, and it'll be fine. But if I started to hit shift, which is a modifier key, it would modify caps lock and it would not work for push to talk. Same thing's also true for control. So I need three hotkeys. I need caps lock and shift caps lock and control caps lock to not accidentally cut my push to talk when I'm moving around the map. It's kind of funny. Let's see how this goes. So, kind of a messy fight, and this is now the first round for VK4 on Vlandia, and they took that fight pretty well. It was a lot better than HCA's first fight in Vlandia, which they did lose that round. I do think that VK4 is likely to win this round, and I don't know. My best guess for the total on this this second half want to say 3-1 in VK4's favor. Most likely, second most likely would be a 3-2. But I'm leaning towards a 3-1. So, dismounted by some random spearmen there. That's kind of unfortunate. So I did expect, I said this earlier, that Antic was very likely to mount up on cavalry on Khuzaits because, number one, he's pretty solid on cavalry, and number two, Khuzaits have pretty dog water infantry. So, did in fact happen at BSP. Buddha, again, is highest on the scoreboard. Got an absurd amount of score in the first half of this map. Someone was not paying attention and got tagged by Warband Man there. Another one did. I think this is very likely to be VK4. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Am I crazy? I mean, this was definitely the hardest round for VK4. But apparently they didn't do enough damage on their first lives. Or, were they trickling here? What's going on? No, there's not trickling. There was just a bad fight for VK4. Alright, well, it evens it up to a 3-3. I mean, I kind of felt like VK4 had enough surviving guys in the first fight to still win, but apparently they did not do enough damage. I don't know why he blocked there. I think he's being too defensive right now. I think he's probably kind of afraid of the Buddha and Antic at this point. Which to a certain extent, maybe he should be, because they're very good at cavalry. But Spade is really good as well. Honestly not as good, but I feel like if he was equally aggressive as them, it's not going to be like a 70-30 trade. Like, he'll lose a slight majority of the time, but I don't know. They're just kind of throwing here. It feels like. I would say, if I was in charge of VK4, I'd say stop taking these cat fights. It's not going well for them. But it's partly because they're... Okay, that's bad. He's getting sandwiched. Yeah, he's going to get dismounted here in a second. They have the better spear, so to be honest with you, this is a little bit sad to watch. I mean, it depends on how you fight. If you fight 50-50s, it's a better spear. If you fight up close, arguably it's the worst spear. But for the type of fighting that, you know, I would expect them to do, I'd say it's overall the better spear. Anyways, so we have... Despite all that cavalry fighting, VK4 is still in their first lives, and they have no cav to back them up. That's pretty unfortunate. Spade is somebody who's coming in here in a second. Or sorry, first life dismounted. And actually get dismounts Buddha. That's really big for VK4. But, yeah, I don't know. This isn't going too well for them overall. There's still 4 Khuzaits still up. Okay, 3. I'd love to see fewer than that. They almost bump off this guy. Wow, who gets knocked out there? Zhao Yun killed Antic, so both their cav are second life, I think, here. Now, I guess the Cavalry Buddha and Antic, they actually have an infantry life here, because they won that first round and they didn't die, so it's interesting. So that would make this round even tougher for VK4. Man knocks out a guy going to the staircase. I didn't even see that, but well done. These are still their first lives on Khuzaits, so this has to be mostly flawless for... Yeah, well, it was. They didn't take much damage there, so... There's still a chance here to win this round. Four of the Khuzaits have a peasant life left. VK4 is pretty healthy, but they're going to have to do, really well here to not get killed by the Khuzait third lives. So they have to just dominate here, or they're going to get whittled down by those last peasants. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. They might even lose... Khuzaits are doing really well staying alive here. Warband Man gets a very important kill on Buddha, knocks out Buddha. It's very critical for them, but Buddha does have a peasant life coming back in. Yeah, I mean, I think VK4 still has a chance. I think it's not really the advantage of Khuzaits, unless they can knock out one player here, or two even. I don't see them having the advantage in the final fight here. Yeah, they're not gonna... I don't see this being... This round is no longer favored to Khuzaits. They had a really solid chance of doing something here, but I mean, they fought well, tried their best, but I think the opportunity is now lost. Now, for some reason, VK4 kind of splits there. I don't think it's going to matter because they were so low on morale they had to charge in, even though they're kind of split. It looks like that's what happened because it just was morale victory. There's two guys still alive, and they did get their gold back, so. That is kind of significant. They didn't completely throw away whatever edge they had to spend there. It's very interesting how that happened, actually. You know what? I'd actually never noticed that castle in distance, to be honest with you. I'm learning new things about this map. I'm not really sure who got the stab in there. Well, I tabbed the scoreboard so somebody else can go back in time in the replay and tell who hit who if they want to, based on the score increase. I don't think that Buddha's going to be able to do enough damage to win this fight, but maybe he can. Is that Cav's second life? He comes back in? He's already is, I'm not sure. I think that's Buddha's second life Cav that came in. Yeah, and the first life Antic goes down. I was a little bit delayed to increment the scoreboard in favor of VK4 there, but they are now in the lead 4-3. Surprisingly even fight here, but it looks like a slight win for VK4. So yeah, still having 3 lives on HCA / Khuzaits. Enigma is still on his first life and he's healthy, apparently. He's just not even going to reset. He's taking no damage, apparently. It's kind of interesting. He's coming down to help the second lives fight here. These are second lives, right? Yeah, they're second lives. They're kind of split because he was late to the fight. Enigma's kind of on his own over here, but nobody else is fighting him, so it doesn't matter too much. Now, I feel like shouldn't... Yeah. Okay. Well, the one guy who died first on VK4 has his second life still. So, if somebody had to die there, he was the least bad person to lose. Not great, though, still. You know, technically, Khuzaits don't have to use their lives here if they don't feel that they did enough damage to justify it. There is going to be one more round, even if they lose, but let's say it's not looking great for them overall. They are going to use those lives, apparently, which, to be honest, I don't know if they really touched any of these guys. Maybe some of them, at least 2 or 3, but they're still pretty healthy. I'd be very worried about using these third lives here. I would just save them. It was me, but not my call. Let's see what happens here. Another missed stab. Oh, it's going to be pretty much impossible for Khuzaits to pull this off here. Nice kick, though. I think that was Antic. It probably was Antic. Now that brings it to a 5-3 in favor of VK4. Or there goes a cavalry off to the... I think one of them might have gone to B. Oh, they're both over here. We have, relatively... No, it's kind of normal looking. Now that was a really... Yeah, he just kind of sat with his horse's head sticking around the corner. That's a bad idea. His horse is probably already half dead. He's about to get dismounted here. He was actually lucky to take that on his rider. They must have dropped the cavalry. They did. Spade is now on Inf. It's kind of interesting. I mean, apparently it's working. The 5-1 with the spear. Not a bad idea, honestly. Especially when you're not expecting to win the cav fight. So, I see the logic. See the vision. Kind of a bad first fight for VK4, and being said, you know, Khuzaits are not going to have their third lives here, so they kind of blew them. You see what I'm saying about I would have saved them? Because they did. I feel like they did a lot better this round than last time. Maybe I could be demented, as in suffering from dementia, but I don't know. I don't think so. Nobody kicked in the stairway. That's unbelievable. That's the perfect spot to kick somebody when they're pushing out there. Like, I mean, it's believable. It is a D division match, but still. Right. Well, they all left. Is he out? He is out. He's actually got as much score as Antic, which kind of impressive. Antic is pretty sure hard to equal on Cav. Although it is Khuzait Cav, which is kind of bad. So he's not... He's got an advantage, he's got a disadvantage. His advantage is he's fighting with Buddha, who's really good at Cav, so... Antic's kind of on autopilot for the Cav fight. He doesn't need to worry nearly as much. Disadvantage is obviously kind of just the worst Cav. Worst horse. Worse, I think, just about everything else on the Khuzait Nomad class. Buddha goes heavy Cav. Curious to see if we'll see a couch here. He's definitely going to try it. Here comes, here comes, here comes. Pay attention. Okay. Wow. Huge stab. Probably was by Spade. I'm surprised that really reared the horse, but well done. AK gets knocked out by Buddha pretty much right away. Some of the Khuzaits have a third life, I think. It's pretty even right now, on infantry at least. It's impossible to keep all the action in focus. I have to go straight like bird's eye view, which I almost never do. But Yeah, I think Kuzates might take this. It's still pretty even. I'm kind of hoping that they lose so my prediction remains true. It's really the most important thing to have happen here. Wow, I don't know what happened there. That was kind of a throw. I think Enigma ruined my prediction just now. Well, that's evens it up to a 2-2. It's now a 5-4. 2-2 on this half, but 5-4 in favor still of VK4. That random little tower in the distance looks really good, honestly. It's a nice feature. Like, never noticed. Like, you can only see this castle, like, right there, maybe, or... you can kind of see it from here. You can see it from here, too. Apparently, Antic has to go at 10. Or 10 Central, but 11 Eastern, whatever. It's a pretty late tournament, to be honest. Apparently, Antic is complaining about the time of the match. It sounds like Les is claiming, I don't know if this is true. I assume that it would be. He's claiming that Buddha wanted 10 p.m. Eastern on this Monday night, which is pretty late for a weekday, but for start time at least, because it's going to go on into 11 Eastern. Sounds like Antic has a job responsibilities, which good for him. I also do, and I'm already kind of tired. It's past my bedtime. Not really, should be. Not sure that it actually is. Okay. That's pretty important for VK4 to dismount that guy there. Was it a kick? Actually was not paying attention for a second, but I think I saw a kick there he couldn't capitalize on. I think Warband Man's about to get dismounted here. He's on second life. He's still on his first, so it doesn't matter too much, to be honest. But yeah, that was the first lives of VK4 going down there. They did lose that first fight. Nice. They might be able to clean it up quickly here and still have a good chance of winning overall. They have not taken a crossbow earlier. That's AK. He dismounts. That's really well done by VK4. That was perfect timing by Warband Man to kill that cavalry right after AK shot him down. It looks like a pretty... I mean, Warband Man's got a life still. I'm actually surprised that he escaped that out alive. He's trying to reset here, I think? Is that what's happening? He is trying to just kind of waste his life to reset it, I guess, or... No, he's not fighting very seriously, it seems to be. And the one-handed sword is kind of a joke. It's like single-player mode for him. Yeah, he was trying to get reset, I guess, but, like, it doesn't matter. They're gonna win here. Alright, 6-4 in favor of VK4. And one of their players on HCA has to go. It sounds like VK is not going to grant an extension to a future date. And, just say it's not going over very well with HCA right now. Unfortunate. I don't know, didn't they... It's odd that, like, the default time is Sunday at 9 Eastern. I'm curious why they chose to play on Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern and they couldn't stay the whole time. To be honest, if they lost 6-4 here, they probably were not going to win overall. And they still could have, but hard to say. It's a little bit disappointing to have them fight only half of a match, but I don't know. That being said, guys, it does appear to be it for tonight. If there is a follow-up match or follow-up half of that match, I would like to watch it, but it does sound like there won't be one. So we'll call it here. Good night. Have a good